Right. Um, Charlie Munger has this quote called "Show me the incentive, and I'll show you what the outcome is." And I think I never really understood that quote until today. So what happened? So at work, I started this new project maybe 2 weeks ago, and I got the chance to basically lead this project. We actually had a lead before; she actually left the company, so now I'm kind of like pushed into this role. But I think it's really exciting because I've never really led a project at this scale before, which means that I also have another consultant under me that's working with me to like just help me do stuff. Um, so obviously that means that a big portion of the project is basically onto me, but I basically have to start delegating stuff to the other consultant so he can also help me do things that either I don't want to do or that I don't have time to do because I'm also working on other projects at the same time. But since I'm leading this one, it's important for me to understand everything that's going on, but properly delegating so that the work still has to be done while I'm doing other stuff. So yesterday, well, actually, for this project, we're going into the discovery phase, and which means that basically we go to a client, we try to understand what their business processes are, we gather requirements, and then we kind of like gather everything that's necessary for then the implementation afterwards. We don't really need to know all of this, but just to give you a bit of a background. So for this phase, what we need to do is like try to understand their business processes ahead of going on site and talking to them. And then we have to draft a bunch of like flowcharts of all their different business processes. So like, like when they buy something, what happens? When they need to sell something, what happens? So we have like, I don't know, 30 flowcharts that we have to design. We have like only 3 days. So obviously I'm going to delegate a lot of these flowcharts back to the other consultant. So I'm like, okay, like we had these flowcharts that we've done for other projects before, like inspire stuff from this, uh, you know, look at it and then do your own and try your best. And this shouldn't be super complicated because a lot of these are just out of the box. Um, and so I wait maybe a couple hours. He comes back. He's like, hey, like I have this new flow chart. What do you think? So I look at it and I'm like, man, this is like, first of all, it's like everything is the same color, or actually there's no color at all, and the boxes are a bit all over the place. It's kind of like wonky. Um, so yeah, basically I'm like, oh, like here are like some things that you can do to improve it. But in my head, I'm like, oh, like I thought it was obvious because I had other examples, and it obviously doesn't look like the example. Um, and then this is where I kind of like caught myself because in this other project that I'm on, I'm not the lead. Well, I am a lead of like a certain process area, but I'm not like the lead of the whole project. And I know that when I do my things, not for me, but for other people, I also tend to kind of like just do it as quickly as possible and give it to them. And that's when I realized that like incentives are so important and it really dictates almost like, well, I mean, Charlie Munger said it, like the outcome of what you're doing. So, like, my thought process, I guess, when I'm not leading a project and when I'm told what to do, that I have to do something, is that I know that this work that I'm doing is going to be reviewed by someone else. So I don't really need to put that much effort. And obviously, it's not a good way to think. But I guess unconsciously, that's probably how I thought about doing this. So, and then that's when I realized that like the work that I'm doing in this project as a lead is like 10 times better than the work that I did when I wasn't the lead. And I think that's just because like I'm incentivized as lead of the project to do super well. Like I can't rely really on someone else because like I'm basically the last line of defense before the client. So I have to make sure that all the little stuff that I probably normally wouldn't care about, well, I do have to care about it now because nobody else is going to look after it. Whereas like, if I know that I do have another lead or have someone else that's going to verify my work, I know that I can do like I can diminish the quality of my work and do it as quickly as possible because I know that someone else is going to verify my work. And I think that like really, I don't know if it's gonna change my mindset because like I don't know if I'm gonna actually follow through with like always operating as if I'm a lead all the time. But I do think that if you want to excel at everything that you do, that's definitely the way to think going forward. Is like I shouldn't think that I can rely on someone else to improve my work, so I will do this quickly and just give it to them. Instead, what you want is to always think as a lead, as you are like the last line of defense, and actually do your work that way. So that's something that I guess I learned today, and that yeah, it really kind of like changed my perspective of like how I actually run things because like now I see it that like okay, well, my work is so much better now because I know that I have to do things correctly. And I guess like this should be how I work for everything. So yeah, so that's why it's important. That's why the incentives are important, and that's why you'll, I guess, if you have good incentives for people, like I don't know, let's say, if as a consultant, I don't know, I would get promoted every time that I would do good work or something. I don't know, or I get a bonus maybe every time I do good work. I think maybe that could be a good. I would be more incentivized. But yeah, I think the gist of it is really I guess there's two things. One is like yeah, like for others, I think it is important to consider the like how they're incentivized, and that's the quality of work that you're gonna get based on that. And then the second is for me, it's just like switch it around. Is like yeah, like even if I'm not incentivized directly to do it, um, it definitely does change my work at the end, and that the mindset that I should take is always like think as if I had the best incentives to do things, and then obviously my work quality is just going to be better, and the people that I'm going to be working with are also going to be happy because I'm sure the same reaction that I had today, which was like, oh, like it's okay work, but that means that I have to rework it and it takes me more time to do that. Versus like if he came right away with something that was really good and that impressed me, like first of all, that means that I could have more confidence in this consultant and I can give him even more work. Um, Versus like now I'm more hesitant because it's like, okay, well, I know that if I give him work, I know that it's gonna take me an extra, an hour or 2 hours to revamp his work to a quality that I want. And then the same thing for when I do my work is like they probably need to spend another hour or two on top of my work as well. So yeah, that's it for today.